Today, I have the honor of being with Clara Capano. She is an author ready to release her third book, and she empowers women, especially in business, on how they can have the life that they want to live. So, thank you so much, Clara, for being here. I know you're going to bring so many great things to our audience today about empowerment and believing in what is possible for your life
Yeah,
despite tragedy.
definitely. And thank you, Jennifer, for not only having me here, but for creating such a platform where, people can share their truths and get support. So I love what you're doing, and I just honor you for doing all of this.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Well, why don't you start out and tell us a little bit about things that you love women to know? What do you love to teach to women that they don't
Yeah.
automatically know about?
My area of genius and where my heart is around the subject of time. I think time is, so valuable to us. And because of the demands that are placed on us, we lose track of time. And so I really love to teach women how to start looking at time as an investment. And are they investing their time in the right areas to create both the life and the business that they want? So my whole goal is to just help women, take control back of their time so that they can do more of what they love, free from guilt, overwhelm, and burning themselves out.
There's our favorite word. That's guilt is one of those words that we use a lot here.
Yes, exactly.
Why do you think women feel so much guilt?
I think it's a lot of time has been created around this. And, with society, even with leaps and bounds that we've made, society still relies on mom to do most of the items. And I think that as women, we feel so torn because we want to be great at our jobs and we want to earn the respect from our peers. We want to be great wives or partners to our spouses, and we want to be amazing parents to our children, and we want to be able to make good cookies and keep a clean house and stay at the top of the game with all of our friends. And it's so overwhelming that it starts to fall apart. And I think that we feel so much guilt when we're not at work. We feel guilt for not being with our families, and then vice versa. And so I really try to help women understand that it's not about balance. It's about trying to find harmony between it all. And I just think we have to be kinder to ourselves and realize that it doesn't have to be perfect to have it be good.
Yes. If we would just realize that, right? Like, yeah. And I remember feeling the same way when my children were little. I was building a business and
Mhm.
and I was trying to do really great things there, but at the same time, I wanted to do it all. I might have been able to hire someone, but
Yeah.
I didn't want that. I wanted to do it all, but in the midst of it, I can't.
Well,
So,
and the challenge is again, it's honorable for us to want to do it all, but the truth is nobody can.
nobody
And
can.
when we set ourselves up for those standards, we're never going to succeed. And then we're going to feel even more guilt, more shame, more failure. And it just starts, this spiral. And we have to start to redefine, what is success? What is happiness? What is enough for us? And
Mm.
use that, because what success looks like for me and what being enough as a mom, a business owner, and everything for me could look very different than for you or any of your listeners. So we have to start running our own race and get out of that comparison game.
Mm. I think too that when you're in a season of grief,
Mhm.
like so many of our audiences of losing a child, it puts everything into perspective real quick. You
That's
really start to realize what's important.
mhm.
But how do you get out of that overwhelmed cycle?
Wow, that's a hard one. And because the level of the overwhelm, that women are dealing with the losses of a child is just so much greater than, the loss of a job or, you know, the loss of a friendship or something. It goes so much deeper. And I do think a lot of it is time. And I
Mm.
think, time is going to be the number one thing. I think what you have to also do though is start with honesty. You have to claim your grief and be okay with grief and take your time to go through it. I think asking for help and also letting people know, you don't have to tell them all the ins and outs, but to say, right now, I'm not going to be able to give that part of me, and to be able to stand up and say, right now, I can't do that. Or for me right now, this is the best that I can give, because there's going to be certain days where getting out of bed is going to be the win for the day. Taking a shower might be the win for the week, and you have to celebrate those, but you have to be honest with yourself first about what it is you need, because nobody is going to know what you need more than you.
That is so true. And it is really hard to ask for it, because I think too, a lot of times when it comes to the loss of a baby, people just want you to just move on, just forget about it. It's something that happens to a lot of people. It's so common. Just move on and continue on with your life. But what they're not seeing is that you are overwhelmed. You feel your whole life is shaken up.
Right.
And
well, and I would imagine, the guilt that comes with it too, of what did I do to lose this child? Because we can't blame anyone but ourselves.
Yes.
Did I not eat the right thing? Oh my God, I know that when I was pregnant, I didn't know for 4 or 5 weeks. I was down in Mexico drinking, and it's like, oh my God, what did I do? And because there is no reason for it. Oftentimes there is no reason for it.
Yeah.
So we have to try to find a reason. And oftentimes that comes to, blaming ourselves, and nobody can truly understand. I mean, I can understand it for another woman because I am a woman and I have had a child, but I will never experience it the same way any other woman does. We become attached to that child.
Yes.
We become attached to that child when we are young, because we start getting the vision of what is it going to be like to be a mother, and we get this vision in. And then, for those 9 months, we are, it's a part of us. It's a part of the spouse too, but not in the same way. And then we're coming out of it. We still have all of our hormones. Again, it's just all these things wrapped up. And for people to just say, get over it, or it'll be okay. Life will continue. Yeah. But the concept of it being okay is very different. I mean, you will never go through another day of wondering, today would have been their 10th birthday. Wonder what they would have wanted for Christmas. I mean, there's always going to be reminders. And so on some level, there's always going to be daily reminders of what could have been. So it's not just the grief of one day. I mean, you're reliving this each and every day on different levels. And that has to be acknowledged. And, we have to be able to honor that and to create our own rituals and our own space. And for some people, that could just be downtime. It could be meditation. It could be prayer. It could be, again, having rituals where you go someplace every year to visit with them. But again, we have to make it safe enough for people to say, I'm struggling with this and I need a little more time.
Yeah, I know. When you're talking about time too, it makes me think, I know lots of women in business struggle, especially after a loss, because it really robs you of your self-confidence. When your own body can't even do its primary function, what you were taught your whole life that you were created to do, it's hard for you to gain some self-confidence. So I think that definitely bleeds out into every area of your life, whether it's, your business or parenting or marriage or whatever. And I just think people impose timelines on you, number one, for your grief, but do you find that they also do for women in business and in life, in their career?
Absolutely. Because at the end of the day, from a human standpoint, others care, but from a business standpoint, they don't care. They still need to get what they need. Business is still going to go. And so it's that fine dance of being able to do that, because, unless you have the ability to take a sabbatical, take some time off, you still need to show up. But that doesn't mean that you still can't have boundaries up. It doesn't mean that you still can't have your downtime, and, share even with those around you. Join a support group. Depending on what you do, you might be able to have some sort of honesty with the people that you work with, because you need to still be able to find your space and be honest. And this is also, take those personal days. If you need those personal days, take those personal days. If you have the luxury of taking some unpaid time off, do that. Not every woman has that. Sometimes they have to go back to work too soon. And, in those instances, I think, again, you have to, really find a way for yourself each and every day to, again, give you that space to grieve, because you're going to have to put your shield up at the office and do what you need to do and get in and get out. And that's not easy to do, but you need to know that time, that drive home, maybe you need an extra 10 minutes on that drive home to cry, and giving yourself that space.
That's a really good idea, because that is definitely something I work a lot with my clients on, is that return to work. You're a whole different person returning to work, and there's so much gray area. We know that if you have a live birth, that there are certain time periods when you take off and you work through that, but when it's not a live birth, it's different. So what I think I'm hearing you say is just learn to communicate, gather your circle, even at work.
Yes.
Do what you can to communicate what you need to them, because it's likely they don't know.
Exactly. And again, you may not necessarily, get them to understand, but you'll be surprised, because one, so many people are battling other things and other losses that we don't know.
Yes.
And many times what I find is that when I am vulnerable and say, hey, I'm kind of falling apart right now, I need some help, I was surprised at some of the women who actually stepped up to say, you know what, we got you covered. And it wasn't the ones that I would expect, because again, I like to believe that most people are kind and want to help. So again, sometimes we need to do that, but you might be surprised when you ask for help, who might be there to support you. And again, sometimes we don't even know what it is that we need. So sometimes it could just be listening. Sometimes it could be, picking up groceries for us. So, whatever it is, just saying that. But then I also think accepting and giving yourself enough compassion that it doesn't have to be the same level. You know what? Your house doesn't have to be as clean.
Yeah.
You don't have to make dinner. You know what? A frozen pizza might be just fine for tonight. And understanding that and giving yourself a little bit of kindness and compassion and grace.
Yeah. That's so true. And what do you say to the people pleasers that just don't feel like celebrating?
Yeah.
But there's such an expectation for you to be there, and you don't want to miss out, and you don't want your children to be denied of this. So what do you say to those people?
It's a really hard one to just say a blanket answer, because there are, again, different levels that are to it. But I think it comes back to, again, the communicating and being honest. It could be, you know what, I just can't host the holidays at my house this year. I still will come, I still will help, but I can't be the host this year. It could be that I don't want to celebrate this year, and you need to honor that, and just acknowledging that, and saying that, and saying, you don't have to understand it. I'm not even asking you to agree with it. I'm just asking that you respect what I need. And so I think you have to look at those things and maybe just, again, have a plan B, or have more of a collaboration with other people. And again, it could be that, you know what, I can host it, but it's going to be a potluck. So everyone needs to step up and help out a little bit more. So, I think just really trying to be honest about what it is that we can do. What can we give? I'd like to believe that the ones who truly love you will be there. But again, if they don't, that's on them. That's not your responsibility to get them to understand.
Yes.
And you have to take responsibility for yourself and what you can and cannot give. How they respond to it is on them.
What they think of you is none of your business.
Exactly.
Right?
I started something a few years ago for me, and it's not the same, but I'll kind of bring it up because I think it has a few similarities, is Thanksgiving for me has become my nothing day.
Oh.
And what I found is my son, because I'm divorced, so my son is always with his dad for Thanksgiving, and his dad, it's his favorite holiday. It never really was my favorite holiday, so I was okay doing that. But it's also in between my busy speaking season. So I'm generally in between travel, and to go to California to see my family, it was just a lot of moving parts. It was a lot of money. And at that time, I didn't have a lot of extra money. I was building my business. So I just stayed home. And it was the most amazing and freeing decision I ever made, because all of the things that I used to do, I did it to please others. I would jump on a plane and travel and wear myself out to please other people. And so now I had this one day, a long weekend, to do nothing but what I needed, which was resting and rejuvenating myself before getting back into another 3 weeks of consistent travel. And it's been probably 9 years now, and I still do it.
Wow.
And even when I was in California last year, not this year, but last year, everybody was going over to my sister's house, and I'm like, I'm not going. And I thought about it. There was a moment, and then some family drama happened, and I was like, I'm not going.
Yeah.
And I didn't. And again, I just really separated, because I said, this is what I need.
Wow.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, what a great feeling to just be able to say that. This is what I need.
Yep. And I just do that.
And I'm
Again,
choosing
I
myself.
try to do it about once every 6 weeks. And even yesterday, I just didn't want to work. I was tired. I just didn't feel it. So I finished up work early, and I took the rest of the day off, because I'm like, this is what I need to be able to come back tomorrow and be strong.
Yeah.
So again, sometimes it's just saying, I need to go for a walk, or I need to go have a good cry, or whatever it is. But I think we have to feel more empowered to ask for what we need, and to, for lack of a better word, not care so much about what others think.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Now it's harder when you have younger kids, because you want them to have the holidays, and you want them to do these. And that's where I say, trying to maybe have some agreements. Whereas if you have, your significant other, can they pick up the slack a little bit more? Because again, even though we might be grieving, they're grieving too. And we don't know how they're grieving. So again, maybe having that saying, can you go and take the kids? I'll meet you there.
Yeah.
And just again, but you got to be a partnership in it.
A little negotiation goes a long way.
It does.
In business and in life, for sure.
Absolutely. But I just think, regardless, even if you're having a season where things are okay, not that you're not grieving anymore, but things are okay. You still have to abide by these same rules. You still have to have your boundaries. You still have to ask for what you need. You still have to communicate, because those days can come and go quickly. And again, the more that you can keep yourself healthy, it's going to help you through those other times when they come.
That's so good. So many great things in there, just really resonating with asking for what you need and choosing yourself.
Yeah.
Choosing yourself, which is
don't feel you have to put a smile on. It's okay when somebody says, how's your day? It's not that you have to spew everything on them, but you could just say, it's a tough day. You don't have to put a smile on and be like, everything's great, when it's not. You can just say, I'm having a rough day.
Yeah.
I'll get through it, but it's a rough day.
But it's okay to have a rough day.
Yeah.
I think, I do think our mother's generation, maybe they always had to try to pretend that everything was great, and you don't complain, or you're seen as being negative. But I think it's nice now that we, as women, we can have different emotions and be okay with it.
That's so true.
What do you think is the key to starting to dream again? I know this was really hard for me when after I had my loss. I spent several years just playing it safe.
Yeah.
Because when you have a loss of a baby so suddenly like that, and your whole future is completely changed from what you thought it was going to be, you really are cautious about what you plan for and what you do, and it holds you back. So what would you say to women who are scared to dream about a future again?
Yeah. So what I would encourage them to do, and this is an exercise that I was taught many years ago, I would create your life list or your bucket list, whatever you want to call it, and have some different categories. So the categories I was taught are, what are things you want to have, to do, to become, and to give. So you have those 4 buckets. And again, letting yourself get in touch with your inner child and just, again, dream. Because I think so many times what we do as adults is we talk ourselves out of it because we focus on how are we going to make that work. So if I say, oh, I want to travel around the world, I have that thought, but from the moment I get to the paper to write it down, I've already talked myself out of it. How am I going to get the time off? How am I going to pay for it? Who's going to feed the dog? All of those things. You don't have to worry about how it's going to happen now. And I think that's what it is they're wondering and they're seeing all these things and they're not in a place to make these things happen today. So they discount it completely. All we're doing is just creating the vision of the life we want to create from this point forward. And one of my very favorite mantras is the vision comes first, the how will find a way. So once you start getting the vision together, the energy starts to follow. And then little by little, when you start reviewing it, and it always makes me think of a fabulous quote by Helen Keller. She was asked once if she could think of anything worse than being blind. She says, yes, being able to see, but having no vision.
Ooh.
And even though a part of us has died
Yeah.
and we're grieving that part, there still is a part that needs to live on. And we want to even honor that child by living in their light and celebrating that life and giving them, dedicating this life to that soul that we lost. And so I think by creating it, don't get so attached with when is it going to happen? How is it going to happen? Dream for them. If you can't dream for yourself, dream for that child and create that vision and create that life to honor them because they would want that for you.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Mic drop. That is exactly it. That's exactly it. They do not want you to live in sadness and grief for the rest of your life. And what a wonderful testament to them to live an incredible life.
Exactly.
Oh, I love that. I love listing that like that.
Part of them with you everywhere you go.
Yeah.
So all these adventures, all these things you do, you're doing it with them because they'll always be a part of you.
I always see signs too of them. There's different flowers or there's things in the sky or trees, or I always look for signs. And so I do. I believe that 100%.
I believe it 100% too. Yeah.
I love that exercise of listing it out. I'm going to do that.
Yeah. I just think it's great because it gets you again connected back into something, larger than just today.
Yes.
And then again, you start to create that. And then as you look at it on a regular basis, create a vision board. So you're looking at it every day. And then all of a sudden things start to come together. And again, it's just those baby steps each and every day.
And not being attached to how it's going to get done.
Exactly. Just letting it manifest and unravel the way that it needs to unravel.
Yep. Oh, that's so good. That's so good. What do you think young women need to know as they are I would say in their 20s to 30s? What do you wish that you knew then that you know now?
Don't take yourself too seriously. I became old too quickly in my life, and now I'm getting it back and I'm being sillier now, but I always thought I had to prove myself. So I became far too serious. Take risk. Take calculated risk, but take risk. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there because you just never know what might happen. And know that you've earned a place here. You are deserving of these things. So don't hold back and think that you're not saying the right things or doing the right things. As long as you are showing up authentically, and as long as in your heart you are bringing sincerity and love forward, live in that truth. But take those chances, speak your truth, go after your dreams. There are so many times where I think of how many times I played it safe. And it's why, so go for it. Go for it.
Well, it probably was due to other people's expectations. It was due to
and fear and all
the fear of not knowing how to do things for
Mhm.
sure. All the
Yeah.
things we get wrapped up in. I always love to think back and just if I could tell myself something at that age, it's always fun to think about what it would be, what would be
Exactly.
different.
Mhm. Definitely.
So tell us about your new book. I'm excited for
Yeah.
that.
So, being that I am a single mom running, my own businesses, I definitely have had my challenges and stumbles along the way. I have had those moments where I have had major mom guilt and, missed eighth grade graduation and doing all of these things because I was trying to do too much. So, this book is going to be a guidebook, sort of a gift to all my mompreneurs out there. So, I am taking a lot of the tools and strategies that I have learned. So it's broken down, and we have mindset pieces again about creating that vision and what does it mean to have the mindset of a mompreneur and a CEO. It talks about, again, finding your group and finding your circles, whether that's support groups or mentors. We talk a lot about scheduling and setting boundaries and creating habits. So we just really take in, and I really just wanted to be able to help women. So each chapter has a different concept, but at the end of the chapter, it has a little workbook so that you can take what you read and how can you actually apply it into your life. So I just want it to be a success manual. So again, women can move forward and find that harmony in their lives and just really, love who they are, love the lives that they live, and just, find that beauty in everything that they do daily.
Oh my gosh, that is so needed because
Yeah.
I think we do definitely have seasons in our
Mhm.
lives of momming, and then we get the empty nest, and
Yeah,
they can just sort of flow into each other. They don't
they
have
really
to
can.
have
And
hard stop.
yeah, and so many times nobody really gives us real strategies. So these are
Mm-mm.
ones again that I've learned. So how to say no. So I give some strategies on how to say no, strategies on how to share your goals with others to again get their help. So again, I try to give them real strategies, checks and balances of when to know what to say yes to, what to say no to. So it's really, my goal is to be able to give them something tangible that they can take through them through all of their different seasons and be able to make it work for them. Because I'm a huge proponent on success doesn't come in a cookie cutter box.
Yeah.
And we all have to create a foundation that's going to work for us. So we have to create success on our own terms. And that's what I hope this book does for women.
I think too, if they start creating that now, you can live out your life being authentically you.
Yes.
And not having to do, the shifting gears like, wait a minute, I played it too safe, or I
Exactly.
could have done this. And yeah, having maybe
And also
regret.
leaving the messages for the future generations, think because everything that we do, we're
Mm.
being watched by the younger generation, whether it's our kids or our friends' kids. And so again, creating that foundation for them to be that much stronger, because I think our parents wanted us to be a little stronger, and it's just that ripple effect. So every time we can live in our truth and live in that alignment, we're giving permission to the next generation to do the same and make that even better. So it's all about legacy.
Oh my gosh, so exciting.
Yeah. So
That's
it'll be out
it's gonna
around
be
Mother's Day.
great.
Mhm.
Mother's Day? Okay, good. And
Yeah.
then you're speaking on stages. I saw that
I
you
am. I
are.
am. I do a lot of talks for women in leadership,
Yeah.
a lot of talks around burnout and productivity. And then I also have a podcast called the Working Women's Channel, where I bring women in who are talking about, struggles and challenges that they've overcome and the trade-offs that we have to make sometimes as women in today's world to keep the harmony going. So I just want women to, again, know that they're not alone and that no matter what we're facing, we can get through this together.
That's beautiful. The power of everyone together for
Yeah,
sure. And
definitely.
then Amazon Prime Speak Up. What is
That's right.
that?
I almost forgot about that one. So,
My gosh,
yeah.
don't forget it. I
So,
shot it.
Amazon Prime has a show called Speak Up, and it's their version of a TED Talk. And so I was in season 3 for that. And that was pretty incredible to have that experience. And it was really nice to do that. And I'm working on my next TED Talk. So hoping to just make it more global.
Oh my gosh, so exciting. You
It
have
is.
so many great things going on, and I just love how you are empowering women with every word that comes out of your mouth and
Well,
every
thank
word that you write. So that is where I'm so honored to be able to have you here to speak to us today. And I know that you have inspired a lot of people
Well,
just
thank
from
you.
being here. So where can people find you and find out all about you, listen to your podcast?
Yeah. So they can definitely go to my website, which is just claracapano.com. And then on social media, if they just look for my name, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, usually some version of my name will drive them there. Then also links on my website. And then I do have a YouTube channel called Moments of Clara-ty, and it's Clara-ty. That's a little bit of my tagline. So yeah, so they can catch a lot of my shorts and everything there as well.
Oh, how fun. Yeah. So when you need a little boost, that's a great place to
Exactly.
go and
Yeah.
get out of your funk.
You have a book page. It's a group for women. It's absolutely free. It's called Smart Women, Smart Choices. And so I do a lot of, again, motivational in there. And in January, I just decided this about an hour ago. So in January, I'm going to do 31 days of clarity, where every day I'll have a different clarity tip. So if women want to join that, they're welcome to be a part of that community too.
Oh my gosh, that is awesome. Well, I will be sure to link all of it in the show notes so
Yeah.
that we all can join you there. Get some momentum going in the beginning of the year. That'll be great.
Love it. Fantastic.
So, well,
Again,
thank
thank
you
you
so
for what
much,
you're doing.
Clara.
Yes, thank you. You are a light, and you are, again, creating a platform that is really changing lives and helping women in ways that I can't even put words into. So thank you for what you're doing.